Hey guys, Anthony Carboni here to give you a behind-the-scenes look at DC Universe Online. I'm in San Diego at the studio of Jim Lee, comic book legend and DC Comics co-publisher, who's also one of the creative minds behind the game. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his career in comics, his approach to art, and what we can expect from DC Universe Online. Jim, thanks so much for being with us today. You've been in comics now for over 25 years. You've worked with all of the big properties in comics.
Yes, been very, very fortunate. Yes.
Your interpretations of the characters are very, very recognizable to comic book fans. How did it feel to kind of have Sony come up to you and be like, okay, the way you do it?
Flattering and terrifying at the same time, to be honest. To the extent that they are using the designs for the DCUO, I mean, it was, you know, very, very flattering, and at the same time, a huge, huge task, because you know, a lot of these characters I hadn't ever drawn before, and so you're constantly having to go over scores of DC characters and trying to figure out, well, what makes this character look the best.
Yeah, and working on such iconic characters and making a game with them, why an MMO as opposed to a game where you get to be these characters?
For me, I've always loved MMOs. I personally like creating my own character, my own take on a hero. It's the creative side of me saying, like, I can do better, you know, than what these guys have done. You know, Batman, who's he, right? So I love, you know, creating my own mythology, creating my own character, and then interacting with all these other great characters in this environment and this world that, you know, so many people around the world are familiar with.
So making a game where people get to create these characters and put them alongside their favorite characters. Right. How do you work that into the story? How does my guy meet Superman? We really made it critical and integral to the game that what you create is part of the storyline. So the DCUO exists, and then all of a sudden this thing happens where Luthor's he's come back in time, and he's creating a new army of heroes and villains to defeat Brainiac in the future. And none of the heroes or villains in the current continuity know whether to trust him or not. And so you as a player are one of the legion of heroes and villains that Luthor has kind of spawned. We really wanted to give you a reason why you exist in the DC universe in the first place, and then also make the sort of grander storyline a mystery and something that drives you forward in the gameplay. So the events that are built into the game, I know with a lot of MMOs, you get to a point a couple months in and you're like, oh, well, let's go to that cave again. Oh,
right.
Well, let's beat up this guy again.
Sure.
How are you keeping the content in DCU dynamic and changing for players?
What we have here is Gotham and Metropolis. We have like the Batcave, we have Arkham Asylum, we have a lot, like Smallville, like slivers of other environments, but there's so much more stuff in the DCUO that isn't in this initial launch that we're going to be adding to the world. So it's always a work in progress as we're creating new things in the comics and sort of interpreting them and bringing them to the game. We
were originally expecting the game in November.
Right.
When are we going to be seeing it now? Do you know?
I believe it's early next year. I don't think they have a specific date that they've picked out, but it would be first quarter of 2011.
Very cool.
Yeah.
When you go in, are you usually a hero or a villain?
I usually create a villain, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Because I draw heroes all the time, and it's always from the hero-centric point of view, and the villains always seem so wrong. But if you create your own villain, then you start seeing, like, you know what, maybe this whole world's a little screwed up.
I'm a tortured soul.
Exactly, right. Or you know, like, who elected these authority figures? You know.
Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to email you because I got an idea about an expansion for the Heckler.
Sure. Okay. All right.
It's just you and me.
Okay. All right.
So that's what's going on with DC Universe Online. Be sure to check back at this page often for updates on everything Sony makes, from games to gear to movies to music. For now, I'm Anthony Carboni for Sony.